hit record. We are recording. I will call the meeting to order at 1:10 p.m. Janet, are you good to take notes?
I'm doing that right now.
Okay, thank you. I'll go around for attendance. Just say if you're here. Michael Kopko.
Yep, here.
Tony Wagner.
Here.
Sarah Ellis.
Here.
Ava Rollins.
Present.
And Justin Cherney.
Here.
And Emma Young here. Janet Schulte.
Present.
And no Jordana. And that's all, right? We're not missing anyone else?
That's it.
Okay. Did everyone have a chance to read the minutes that Janet sent out from our last meeting on November 30th?
Yes. And I saw your correction, Emma. That was my only concern.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve or make changes?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Do we have to, should we go around and say our names again?
Probably do a roll call, yeah.
You
Okay.
could just ask if there are any objections.
Oh, yes. Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimously approved. Okay, so the next agenda item is to talk about the award ceremony for the grant recipients. We had started planning one in kind of the winter of 2020. So, and I think we have some notes on it, and we talked a little bit about it at last week's meeting. I think we were gonna host at White Heron, is that correct?
Yeah, depending on when we're talking about, sure, yeah.
I
Yeah,
have
we were looking
April
at-
20th, is that right?
I think so. It was sometime in April.
It's the Wednesday before Staffordale.
Yeah, April 20th. I have 5:30 to 7:30. I don't know if we had firmly agreed on that or not. Is anyone opposed to that date and time?
I think it's still a great time. I mean, obviously, we're all monitoring what's happening. So Michael and I are doing a
plan
tap dance,
something.
so for everyone's entertainment that night.
The theater's available for that date.
Okay, so let's stick with that for now, COVID pending, I guess. And you said, Justin, you and Michael are good to MC.
I think Michael said we were going to do a tap dance, so
I mean, I'd love to see that.
we'll start rehearsing now.
You can get those magic canes that just
Yeah.
pop open.
Yeah. Just you wait. Yeah, I'm fine unless there's someone else that would like to. Please don't. Yeah, that's great with Michael and I, I'm sure, but if
That's
there's anyone
awesome.
else that would like to.
What do you guys think about format? So we had talked about doing recipients from 2019, 2020, and 2021. So I think it would be way too long to have people present on their program. But yeah, I guess we can throw some ideas out about what that might look like. I've never really been to any kind of grant ceremony before.
Could we just maybe identify like 3 organizations that we all agree upon and maybe ask someone that participated in their program to maybe speak on what the experience was like, so we get the benefit of seeing like what the dollars went to as well. I mean, I don't know, does that like sound like something
That's a cool idea.
interesting? So it's
Great
not
idea.
just the head, because people hear from the people that run these organizations a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, so it might be nice to hear from the actual people benefiting from it.
We also have a lot of
Just-
repeat people in here, people who come back every year.
Yeah, exactly. Like we could we could try to get someone who did the senior citizen art at the Artists Association, because they've done that, I think, all 3 years. The Flying Association, both the theater groups, and I like that idea of having a participant. It could be hard to track people down that would commit to it, but I like that idea, rather than just have someone explain what the program was, have the participant explain like what it was actually like to do it.
And it maybe include at least a couple of the individual grantees, only to show that aspect as well, whether it's Liza or whomever.
That's a
We could
great
have-
idea. Maybe it's like 2 organizations and 1 individual. I mean, if we stick to 3, or maybe it's 5. I don't know what, just, and it, I mean, we can't get everybody, so we'll just do the ones that, and I think it should definitely, the senior, and I definitely, a program that benefited the youth, we definitely would be lovely to hear from a couple of kids as well, I think.
I wonder if there's whether we should do like a PowerPoint or just have a poster or a flyer on like what all the different awards were. Just so people can see what all of them were, and then have a selection that actually do some kind of presentation.
Yeah, that's right. It could be an MC function too, just some kind of screen projection, like you're saying, that lists everybody and goes through them. And then maybe that's the answer. It's 1 or 2 per year that we highlight.
I agree with Tony, just in the sense that I personally feel almost like if it were a visual like slide presentation of every single participant, at least just the title, and then featuring 3, maybe 2 organizations and 1 individual. But I do think that we need to visually represent every single participant.
Yeah, and it sounds like I know Ava and I had met earlier to talk about getting some photos from participants, and we'll try to do a better job going forward of asking people to make sure they're taking photos and sending those. So
The
we
issue
could,
with that is I got a bunch back and they were all crap because they're like iPhone only kind of things, or not anything
Yeah.
we could use for any sort of materials. So I think what might be better is if we work with local photographers to give them like a tax credit to shoot something and make some sort of program there, where, hey, we want to capture these projects. Can you do a half an hour shoot as a tax write-off, and we can give you a letter? I think that would be a better thing to offer formally to all the grantees.
that's definitely a cool idea. I wonder if that's something we could get going. I know some of the projects for 2021, either they've already done them or they are coming up soon, but I wonder if that's something you could work on this winter, Ava, to try to get photographers and the
I think we
grantees
would just
connected.
need to know the timing, and then I could easily make a 1 sheet that says, we have these photographers that do this as a tax write-off. But I think just to shoot them anytime it's not in the summer, because that's when they're so busy.
Yeah. And a lot of if I recall from last time, a lot of the programming was more focused on the off season, I think.
Yeah. No, that's not a problem.
Cool. Is that something that you want to kind of head up and start working on?
What do we mean by head up and start working on it?
Well, I guess connecting we have to wait obviously until the awards letters go out.
I think we should be included in the awards letter a line about, if it's not already finalized, it's important to the work of the Cultural Council to gather professionally shot photos of these projects to catalog and promote your work. So if you do not have a professional photographer, access to a professional photographer, we would like to provide one through a partnership. So can you please let us know and give us some windows that would be appropriate for shooting?
My only concern with that is I feel like we want the letters to go out so soon. And I don't know if we can actually promise the photographers to people who don't already have that capacity. It just seems like it might be intimidating to some of the individuals, but maybe that's just my,
Intimidating to get photographs of their work.
to sort of tell them that that's part of it without assigning them a photographer already. Like, I don't know if you've already spoken to people about photographers about it. I just don't know that we'll get that commitment because people are sometimes away in the winter, or I just don't know.
Well, I mean, what I'm thinking is we want to catalog something within a year, right? We're not trying to get people to do things artificially out of place. That like, if you don't have access to a photographer to catalog your work within the next calendar year, we would like to match you with one through partnership. So
I
I can
understand.
imagine that would be intimidating to anyone, but I'm totally open to your opinion on it.
I think,
Nope.
what I was meaning by like headed up would be like, we would have to reach out to, hi, come on in. I'm in a meeting, but you can look around.
I
Sorry,
work
guys.
with about 5 local photographers, and
just
I'm
not-
happy to reach out to them, but I think we need to give them some specs, you know? And I think it is based on each of the recipients' needs and desires. So I think that we just need to put in a line into the letter so we're not bombarding them with communication. Let's wait till Emma's done with her meeting. Emma?
I'm so sorry. I had a customer.
That's
Can you-
totally fine. I was thinking it should go in the letter because I don't want to bombard people with communication. And just
Yeah,
add part of what
I
we're giving,
understand.
part of our service is offering you the opportunity to capture this in imagery. And please give us a sense of when you might want to capture it in imagery so we can match you with a photographer. Like,
Yeah, I
would-
agree. I just think that we would need to reach out to photographers and see if that's a service they could provide, and that would take a lot of coordinating, but if that's
Oh, I
something
can do that. I already talked to them all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can totally do that. But I think we should aggregate the offer of it into the letter. So as part of your response, please let us know when in the calendar year that's not summer we could capture.
Okay, so maybe I could have them, so I usually send the letters from my personal email, but I
nice.
could have them reach out to you to coordinate with a photographer if that's something. you can
Absolutely, they
offer.
can just email me to coordinate photography.
Okay, I think that would be really cool, and if we do,
Or
Yeah.
CC me, whichever, when you're sending the letters, if you're only
okay,
giving, but you know, however many we're giving, it's not that many, right?
9 or 12, I think.
Yeah, are you gonna do a blast? You're gonna do one by one?
No, I do them individually with the
Yeah,
amount and
maybe
everything.
CC me and say Ava is working with photographers to capture stuff. So it will either be photographers to do it as a tax write-off or me shooting.
Okay, cool. I think that's really great. And then if we did get any back before this spring, we could use them in some kind of presentation at
Photography is one of my winter
Okay.
projects. I'm just getting a new
Awesome.
camera that just arrived this week. So I'm not promising it to clients yet, but this is probably a good opportunity to use it. So I think we can do either or. I think there's certain local photographers who'd like that imagery for their portfolio. And then I can also do some.
One small technical note, are we allowed to do, I think the idea is great. We'll figure out how to make it happen. As a government body, are we allowed to do the tax write-off part? The solution is one of our organizations could provide it. That's
When it
easy.
had come up last time in terms of doing a tax write-off for hotel rooms, Jordana and everyone seemed to think that that was a good idea and that we could do that for people.
Well, that's right. We were talking about it in terms of coming through one of our organizations, not from the council itself. The council can't issue is not a nonprofit 501c3, so it can't issue in kind.
Who can?
It would have to be one of our organizations, which we could do, like any one of us with 501c3.
Yeah.
Janet, do you know about that? If there would be
I don't
barriers?
know about that.
It does, but
In
I-
federal, there's a thing called the
Tony, you're
Anti-Deficiency
correct
Act that makes
That it
it
has to
illegal.
come from a 501c3, but I thought it could also come from the government organization.
Mhm. I can't
But
because
it-
Is that a
we're
no, or
No.
I don't know, Tony.
No, because we're a taxing authority, or the government is a taxing authority, so we can't.
But people can donate to the government and get tax write-offs for things.
That's what I thought.
Can they? They can't, well, because in federal government, you can't, that's illegal, it's the Anti-Deficiency Act. It could be different locally, but my guess is they always run that through as a third-party organization.
Maybe that's a question for Mass Cultural Council.
Yeah, Emma, could you ask them?
Um,
Or is that Jordana who manages that relationship?
I can ask, you think, Janet, would that be Timothea or,
Timothea.
okay, yeah. I can check in with her about that. And then if it's not something,
And option 2 is Ava shoots them.
yeah, so would that be something that a service you would donate to the committee, to the council?
Sure.
Okay,
But it'd be nice to have the tax write-off letter if I could have it.
Yeah, and like I said, it could come through one of us, we could do it through the NCMC, it just can't be.
That's very generous, but I think it'd be nice if we could do it through our actual organization too.
Yeah.
Let's see.
yeah, I can check in with Timothea about that. Okay, does anyone else have any comments on kind of the idea of having our participants get paired up with a photographer to get some media?
My only question, I'm sorry, maybe this was answered, regarding the past 2 years participants, and I realized that the observation has been that, you know, a lot of the things were iPhone or this or that. Is there any way to get some of them to work with Ava to get better photographs, even if it's of, you know, a storyboard or a statement or something like that, so that they can be included in the more visual aspects of this, or the more professional visuals?
Can you say that? Oh, past ones versus this year is the question.
Since we're going to be doing 3 years at once in the presentation, maybe a couple that you thought were intriguing.
Yeah, I
Out
think
of-
that's a nice idea. They
I
were
just
honestly, they all just came in and they were like, not to be rude, but they're all such crap photos. Like some of the projects are really cool. It was just like you couldn't see anything.
Yeah, I think they yeah, I totally understand that. And
It's like honestly, if they had professional photography, we'd be like, well, why do you need our like $1,000? So like I get it. It's like I
there,
should
yes.
do. Sorry.
I'm wondering now if we would want to either try to meet in person or have like kind of a subcommittee that could work on this presentation for the event. Is that something anyone is feeling pulled towards working on?
Are we, now, when you say presentation, are you talking about the whole program or just the kind of?
Just like if we were gonna do like a media presentation, like a PowerPoint or something.
I would defer to Ava about whether she prefers to be working with the committee or whether she prefers to be working on her own.
Why is everything for the event on me, Michael?
Well, I mean, and as far as creating a, you know, kind of a PowerPoint deck or something, that's sort of a graphic thing. I thought that was something you were offering to do.
Oh, I had not offered to do that, but.
Well, and is that even something that we want to try to do for this year's
Yeah.
reception? Or do we want to wait until we might have some more photos?
Well, when are we doing the reception again?
April 20th.
I mean, I could absolutely put together a deck before then. The question is, would we have the images that we wanted, or do we want to spend a calendar year aggregating content?
I mean, honestly, like my personal opinion is like, I think that having 1 year with some iPhone photos on a PowerPoint is fine. But if we don't want to be represented that way, then I'm up for discussion on that. Like, do we even think we want to do a PowerPoint this year?
Who,
Well, there's two pieces, because there's this presentation of the imagery, but there's also just listing of award winners. There's two different pieces. So, and I'm happy to work on it too. We can put that together. Just, I'm one of those visual people that if somebody just says it out loud, I'm not going to absorb it. But if I see it on the screen.
Yeah.
Are you good at PowerPoints, Tony?
Mhm.
Yeah, you got some skills.
What they say.
Sounds like a committee forming right before our very eyes.
Okay, I am available to consult on aesthetics of the deck, but if I'm going to do the photos, I feel like someone else should help with the deck.
Well, I am certainly happy only because I have the time right now. If it would be helpful for me to reach out to the different organizations, if there's any questions to ask, something like that, or individuals, but you two let me know. I'm
I have
just
to
available.
aggregate all those.
It's also not outside, as a grant recipient. If we were to send everybody in March, 2 or 3 questionnaire, give us 1 sentence and then send us a picture for this
Well,
PowerPoint.
that's what I'm
we
thinking
could
more.
do that.
It's like, I didn't ask for content text with the images. I just said, do you have any images of your project? So I think if we're putting together a presentation that we should do that, Tony. And to say, oh, I reached out about imagery. Can I get some verbiage to accompany it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Just something we can make the ask really clear. It's very simple, very small. It's not a full report. It's nothing like that. It's just some anecdotal stuff. And we can put it on some kind of Google form, make it real easy. Just collect that stuff.
Are we talking about a whole PowerPoint presentation? Because I had kind of envisioned, having a couple of visual aids kind of thing, lists of people, lists of organizations,
That's what I think too. Yeah,
a few
exactly.
photographs, but mostly having kind of a live presentation. Inviting people to watch a PowerPoint presentation, I'm not sure is where we want to go.
Totally agreed. Totally agreed. I think it's more just a listing. It's a backup, and the stuff we collect would mostly be part of you guys doing your MC presentation.
Yeah, I was just thinking it could be like you quickly go through the slides of like Artists Association received a grant for this program. And this is when it took place or whatever. And then everyone's like, yay, cool, they got that money. And then maybe at the end, you're like, okay, now we're gonna have a representative from the Flying Association do a bit of a longer presentation on what their event actually was.
What's our objective with this presentation?
Well, I think for me personally, I like the idea of sharing with everyone what the programs are that got funded. And then I think part of our idea to have this kind of reception was to invite the general public as well, to encourage other people to apply in the future.
Yeah, it's got a marketing function to it to get more people to apply and increase the pool.
So we want it to be a really pretty presentation.
Yeah, but this is also like our first time ever doing it after being a council for years and years and years. So like, I think it's okay if we start out like.
It is not okay if it's not really good, Emma. It has to be amazing.
Okay, well then I'll let you be in charge of the
I
presentation.
know that now I have to be in charge of it.
I mean, we already know the tap
I
dance
see
is
how
going to be
this
top
works,
notch.
people. I see how this works. So I become your minion. It's fine.
And yet certainly Justin can do some interpretive dance.
Oh, wow.
illustrating some of
Okay.
the
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. Yes.
Maybe a dance for each
I
program
think
that occurred.
that Justin should dance across the stage each time we change the slide.
Every time I'll do a grand jeté across. It'll be great.
Ooh, a grand jeté. Perfect.
In terms of like reception, do we want to talk about food and drink and entertainment and that kind of thing? I know that we cannot spend any of our budget on food and beverage.
Again, if we did, if we can do a tax write-off letter, the green can probably do the food.
Okay.
I thought that Jordana said she was gonna talk to Chef at the Company of the Cauldron.
Oh yeah, she might do that.
Oh, that would be even better if he's back.
We can,
Um,
if we do drinks here, we have to do it because we're licensed, we have to do it under our license. So, I mean, we can pour wine or something like that. We can just find a way. Maybe somebody can make a donation or whatever to,
Usually Ebernet will do that, I think.
yeah.
But does it have to be your wine and servers and things, Michael?
Yeah, well, it has to be our stock. anybody who's tip certified can pour, which we have staff here who can do that. But it's just like, sometimes we'll get a donation of wine from someone, and what usually happens is we pay the invoice and then they donate that money back to the company so that it's kind of a clean, not giving booze, but it's a cash donation.
Yeah.
Against the booze that we bought. We can work all that out if you let us know what you want to do, and we'll figure out a way to do it.
Okay, so we'll put Michael and Whitehair in charge of adult beverages.
All right.
We'll check with Jordana about food. Tony, I think in the past, maybe we had mentioned like if there were any student musicians or anyone that would be able to perform.
And we can find somebody for sure, either a student or faculty, somebody.
Okay, and I know when we first started planning, I think talked about having someone, maybe Janet, your office was able to donate some money for musicians.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of money that we could do. I haven't got loads, but I got some.
Yeah, so we're not just asking artists to perform without getting
Yeah,
compensated.
sure thing. I don't know who, but somebody will do it.
Okay,
We're all kind of mostly nonprofit people, so a lot of us have been to a number of these types of events, and I would just caution us that we keep the presentation portion of the event short and the drinking wine and commiserating with each other part longer than that.
okay.
Second.
I'm happy to volunteer to make some kind of poster or invitation. And I could work with Ava with any of the pictures that we do get. And
I'm gonna make a set of folders from all the images that I got and
awesome.
share them with everybody because things are quieting down a little here.
That's great.
I
And
know, right?
then Jana, I remember we had started brainstorming a list of people to invite. Do you know if you have that list anywhere?
I probably do, but I can't really access it right now because my screens are all busy.
Okay. Because that would be good for us to review, just so we make sure we're getting the word out on that.
If I can get to it.
Does anyone have any other comments about the reception?
Sounds good.
So Tony and Ava and Sarah, are you guys willing to find some time to meet in the next couple months and work on some kind of presentation?
Good thing.
Yeah, I'm confused. Emma's gonna do a presentation or Tony's gonna do a presentation with me?
Oh, I think Tony and Ava and Sarah, does that sound good? Or I don't want to
Yeah,
sign
that's
people up who aren't willing.
In that case, I would assign a lot of stuff to Jordana if I were you. Are we set on the date pretty much? Are we committed? Is everybody good with that date? Because it'd be nice for us to get that in the calendar and leave it there.
Yeah, I would say just COVID pending. That's our only concern.
I found the list, Emma.
Oh, okay, great.
Well, we're gonna invite the select board, town administration. We could put it in the chamber newsletter. Send it to nonprofits via the community foundation, school administration, and then former members of the council, as well as Timothea. And I have Lisa Simmons on here too. And then Remain, Inky, and the radio station.
Yeah, I mean, I think this tax thing would be really great to clarify. Who's owning that?
Oh, I can reach out to Timothea about that. She's our rep from the Mass Cultural Council.
Perfect.
Speaking of,
I know what I have to work with in terms of engaging people to give us stuff.
speaking of community foundation and Remain, one of the things I was particularly interested in coming on to the committee was sourcing more funds. And I'm wondering if that's something we can put on an agenda in the future, maybe, because it would be great to, we could probably hit, Remain in the Community Foundation to give us some kind of a grant to then disperse through our process. We could, knowing those guys, we could maybe double or triple the amount of money we have in a given year.
And it
So,
might be worth Jordana talking to Cecil, because Cecil's on the board of the Mass Cultural Council. And Cecil would know funds that might be available through MCC that could be distributed to this council.
yeah, I'd like to be, it'd be great to get more money to give out, more projects to fund, et cetera.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I think it's good for us to be meeting a little more regularly. And that way, if we do have individual kind of ideas that we want to run with, we can get some movement behind them. And I think that's a good one.
That might be a question for MCC too. For example, could the community foundation give the local cultural council a $10,000 grant and allow us to then disperse that through our grant process? Is that even
Yeah.
allowable?
I think it is, because I believe that the local cultural councils can do their own fundraising and increase their funding to give out.
Well, there you
Yeah, there was
go.
an NEA grant actually that just closed in September. I think that gave money to local cultural councils.
Yeah, there was one working through the state as well that they were considering COVID and post-COVID increasing at about $500,000. So not that that's a huge amount for the state, but it's moving upwards.
So it's maybe just sourcing more funding for us would be a future agenda item, and I'd be happy to work on a project like
How
that.
much more do we want to try and raise, Michael?
She's, what did we have this year? Just under $10,000?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 9,000.
I'd like to at least double or triple that kind of money. And if we're allowed to raise funds for our own cultural council to disperse, that's, I don't know what kind of efforts the cultural council has made in the past to do this, but it seems to me that with fairly minimal effort, we might be able to really goose that number up a bit.
Yeah, it's like 30,000 total for this next year.
Wouldn't that be great if we could
Yeah.
give out $30,000 next year?
Absolutely. Let's set that as our internal goal if everyone feels that's exciting.
And it's a great time to hit organizations like cultural or community foundation, because we're all coming out of this, or maybe not even coming out of this global deathly pandemic. And we all know that cultural organizations have been hit as hard or harder than anybody. So it's a good time to strike while the iron's hot, I think.
Well, let's make it another project for this winter and spring. Okay, so the next agenda item is a possible logo. We had talked about this a while back of having something separate just for us. I came up with a little draft that we can look at, and I'm very open to comments as long as they're nice. And I'm also comfortable if we would prefer to reach out to someone with a little bit more graphics. Justin, can I let you, do you want to share your screen if you have that available?
Yeah. Yeah, just share my desktop. Hang on, sorry. It won't let me click it on my
If you're not a host, you might need permission to
Let's-
share your desktop.
It won't let you share screen?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's, well, right, it says share screen, and then when I click that I want to do that, it's having me open my system preferences, but it won't let me, hang on a second. I may be there.
Come on, Justin, 2 years of Zoom meetings. You
I know,
must have-
right? It's like I let it all go out the window. Let's see. No. I don't know. I'm having a hard time. Can I throw it in the chat? Can people look at it if we look, if it's in the chat?
Yeah, I think you can attach a document. And
Emma,
I can
you
just,
guys, can you all see that? I threw it in the chat, but I'm still trying to,
yeah,
are you able to, if you open it, are you able to?
Yep.
I was not.
Oh, here we go.
oh,
There we go. Can you
okay,
see my screen now?
yes.
Cute.
So I'll just say the writing is just like a just kind of sketched out. I could put it in like better font. But yeah, would love some direction on whether to keep going with this or try something else.
Great, love it.
Well, I think also just so, Emma, just so everybody knows, like, we, just when you and I were talking about a logo like this, you know, because the sign is so kind of iconic to Nantucket, it felt like, and I guess there wasn't a copyright on this, Emma? It was okay
I
to
didn't
use
really
it, or-
know how to find that out.
I can tell you that when I ran for selectman, I used this motif for all of my campaign materials, and it did not cause an issue with the town.
Okay.
Many of the other things I did cause an issue with the town.
Michael.
Janet, do you have any input on like who I would even ask that? Like, I was like, maybe the sign committee, but I don't think they would even know.
State
Ask
transportation.
Erica.
Yeah, I'd ask Erica or Nancy Holmes in the town clerk's office.
Okay.
Erica,
Is the question if there's a copyright on like creating a sign? What's the question?
Like the imagery of that sign.
I
the
doubt that.
the
I doubt
motif is the town of Nantucket's motif for all their signage, and they
But
have
also
all their
Okay.
paper, you know, all their letterheads and all that kind of stuff.
And it's been on t-shirts over the years, so I can't imagine that there's a big copyright, but
Yeah, I mean, there's even some companies that have it as their logo too.
Because there is an issue with the town seal being used commercially.
Right. Yeah, that was one thing I had to, where the little circle is, I couldn't use the town seal there, but you've got the island there, so that's fine.
And don't forget, we are in fact part of the town government, so
Yeah, that's true.
if they
No,
hold
it's not
copyright,
like
then
we're
we're
like
part of it.
interlopers selling it on the side of the road for cash. But yeah.
Okay, yeah, so I would, I can kind of edit this up, put in like a nicer font and maybe make the Nantucket a little bit more realistic. If no one is opposed.
I think it looks great.
I love it. I
Thanks.
think it's great.
I kind of like your abstract Nantucket, actually. I mean,
Okay,
I feel like that's kind of, I mean, my two
agree with
cents on
that.
that, but I like it.
I think
Okay.
it's cool. It's just a little, I don't
Like a
know.
boomerang, you throw it out
Just-
there, it's gonna come back.
There you go, Jan.
It's like arts funding. If you put it in the community, it'll come back to you.
yeah, exactly. It's all symbolic.
Local cultural council sued by town for copyright.
Great PR.
I'm gonna stop sharing now. Is everyone
Sure.
okay?
So the next thing is just to discuss a future date and agenda items. Definitely, I can bring another logo back to review. if anyone has anything about the grant reception that they want to bring back, notes about, we could discuss. And then if we want to start discussing the idea of like fundraising or getting some more money to distribute.
Yeah, maybe a meeting in February that tees us up for the last minute stuff, the planning, and also then we could talk about the fundraising.
Okay.
I will tell you that I'm going out for surgery on January 24th and expect to be out for a month or so.
Can we
Okay.
meet before then?
I don't, well, it would be 3 weeks. I go out on January 24th.
I'm hoping to get the hell out of here in January, so.
So, yeah, so maybe we're looking at February. Or we could do beginning of March.
I think beginning of March would work. I don't think we've got anything that pressing between now and then, and we can all those of us who have been tasked with stuff about the reception can report at that point, and we can discuss. We've still got plenty of time to pull the whole thing together.
And do you think that's enough time if we get like a poster by the beginning of March to start kind of sending out invitations in that month? Or
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
really know what the
Wait.
timeline should be on that.
I think we should send out invitations a month before, design them the week before. So 5 weeks
Okay.
out, when we should start that.
Okay, so we would have time if we met in the beginning of March.
Mhm.
How about Thursday, the 3rd
Of,
March?
I'm not available on that week.
That week, okay. What about Tuesday, the 8th?
That would work for me.
Anyone else? Yes or no, or maybe?
Cultural Council at 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
That works. Can we, Emma, can you maybe between now and then, maybe you and maybe Janet just get some guidance from MCC on just guidelines on how we can raise funds, how we can get them in, how we can do all that, how that works with local cultural councils. It'd be good to have some sort of a starting point with.
yeah, or I mean, if you have some time, I would reach out to Timothea because she would know either the answer to that or who to direct about that.
Yeah,
Do you have an email for her?
I don't, but can you send it to me?
Yeah, I'll forward it.
She should be, when she emails, she should be hitting everybody because you're all listed on the site now.
Okay, well, maybe I do have her email in there somewhere.
I can go ahead and forward it to you just in case.
Okay.
And then I will try to maybe talk to Jordana either on the phone or in person, because I believe that when we made the decisions on the 30th, she should have sent out the denials, and then we wait 2 weeks. And if no one came back with any opposition, then we would go ahead and send out the acceptance. And then usually we'll do, I believe she does like a press release in the paper that just says some of the recipients. So I can take care of discussing that with her and making sure that either I send out the acceptance letters or she does, or we get that done.
And we should probably start building the list of people who need to get the invitation to, who the grant recipients.
Yeah, I know that you had sent out that list of the past few years.
I had it for that 1 year.
Oh, it was just 1 year?
Yeah.
Okay, because everything that was on the old site is gone. But maybe with some sleuthing, if we have the old press releases or anything like that, I probably have the emails that I sent out to the recipients. And we can try to figure that out.
Because I didn't get involved with the council until 2020. It's all my
Okay.
fault.
No, they emailed when they were making the new site and they were like, download your panel books, download your panel books. And
Oh, no.
I didn't.
Randomly, I just got an email from Mass Cultural Council. It says Governor Baker just signed $60 million in cultural sector recovery funds.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Mass
Oh.
Cultural Council is going to administer.
Awesome.
There you
Yeah, they're
go.
still arguing about how to do it. Last
Yeah.
that I knew.
Yeah, the notice is about how they're going to, convene stakeholders and blah, blah, blah.
It'll take a while.
Okay, any public comments or last minute comments? All right,
You did a great
Nice.
job, Emma.
thank you. And we're still under an hour. That feels great.
Very good.
All right, would anyone like to move to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we will adjourn the meeting at 1:56 p.m. and see you guys all in March at the latest.
Yeah,
Right.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.